Oh hi, I didn't see you there. My name's Joseph, and you may recognize me from my other hit instructional videos, The Absolutely Silent Way, Why You Are an LA and Not a TA, and also Pilates for Beginners. Due to disappointingly low sales figures, I have been informed by my financial advisor that I either invest all my remaining funds into Tesla stock and pray for a miracle, or file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I have chosen neither of these options and fired my financial advisor. I thus present to you today my new educational video on how to quickly and efficiently summarize documents in your chosen foreign language. As you progress through your language learning journey, you will be increasingly asked to summarize unfamiliar texts. Often, these will have been originally written in your target language. As such, they can be challenging to digest, as they will often incorporate new words and grammatical structures that you may have been previously unfamiliar with. But being able to summarize quickly and effectively is a very important skill that will help you greatly in your studies. Being exposed to authentic texts and gaining familiarity with how to work with them allows you to experience your chosen language in new and exciting ways. Let's take a look at a few ways to summarize some various documents. But wait, we're not ready to start yet. I know the question you're asking. Why do we bother summarizing at all? Oftentimes, we summarize to find the main idea, what the text is all about. The main idea is not always obvious in a text, although titles can clearly clue you in on what you're going to read about. Being able to properly summarize a document relies on you being able to identify the main idea and list all the information the author gives to support it. In your L2, this can be difficult, as sometimes the level of vocabulary used can make the article a bit challenging to decipher. However, starting as early as Slav 1012, you will be expected to be able to summarize, and that's why it's important to get these ideas down now.
Here's an example of a standard news service provided by Yandex. Remember that you want to find your article in Russian. Trying to translate an article that you have already found in English is not effective because we're looking to be exposed to authentic texts. If you're in the beginning courses, try to find an article which has an understandable title to you, but also one which serves an interest. You definitely don't want to pick the first article you see and realize only halfway through that it's either too difficult or too boring. Let's start by checking our categories and see what looks appealing. World news sounds good. Oh look, an article that is both relevant and understandable. Even if you did not understand all the words in this title, nor are you expected to, as several are only introduced in year 3, we can discern pretty easily what's going on here. Here, we can easily identify our subject, Trump, and what he's doing. Some words, as you gain more experience with summarizing news, will repeat, and you will automatically start to recognize them, such as заявил, which means to declare or to make a declaration. You can also understand potentially new words by sounding them out, and oftentimes cognates are plentiful. Here, we can easily identify coronavirus, and even if you did not know sytuacja meant situation, you can get that right from the title. Now let's look at ulучение. This is a word that you will not learn at second year level, but we can figure it out. Inside, we see лучше, meaning better. If we combine that with what you already know about the formation of some words in Russian, we can likely guess this has something to do with getting better, or improvement. Taken together, therefore, we have the sentence, Trump makes a declaration about the improving coronavirus situation in the US. First, let's do a quick read-through of your text. This is a relatively small article, so let's see what we can do with it. First, let's identify the main idea. If we already know from the title that this is some statement from Trump, let's look for something that mirrors that in the text. Here we are, exactly as the title. Trump says the situation in America is improving, and to directly quote him, all the regions of the country are either in good shape or are getting better. This is another good example of why we, when summarizing, don't want to use a translator, and instead want to work directly with words and grammatical structure from the article. When summarizing in your L1, you've been told time and time again to put things in your own words. This is not always true in your L2. While, yes, putting things in your own words proves comprehension, it also constricts you to a relatively narrow set of vocabulary items. When summarizing in your target language, it's okay and sometimes even preferential that you use what you see. For example, the quote, «Либо в хорошей форме, либо дела идут лучше» is a very good example of this. It uses an or construction that we don't have in English. Instead of combining the two ideas with или, as native speakers of English often do, the author uses либо in two separate places to make an or construction. Also here, власти США надеются. In English, how would we translate this? Well, if vlast means power, and it's clear that these powers are doing a verb, it's safe to infer that the powers are people. This is how we would say in Russian American leaders or American authorities, but you can clearly see how this would be mistranslated if we tried to take the easy way out. Okay, so after a first read, we have a pretty good general idea of what we're doing here. At a press conference, Trump was making comments about the amount of cases, количество случаев of coronavirus in the following American cities: New York, Chicago, Boston, and New Orleans. This paragraph here talks about how American authorities are improving testing, and the author mentions the lifting of restrictions and the potential opening of schools in this paragraph. So how do we combine all this? Start by writing with paper and pencil. When you actually present your summary, this is all that you'll have anyway. Remember finding your main idea? Start with that. Be sure to provide context as well, such as a date or location when the event took place. Did you find any supporting information? List that here as well. One of the great things about engaging with authentic texts is that you will always learn something new. Did you recall from the article how to say cases of a disease? Or how about the words for health and restriction? When you're writing, practice also to write numbers out in full. This is particularly helpful in Russian when even your numbers can be subject to case changes. Remember still to add linking words to the beginning of your sentences to make the entire summary feel more like a story, rather than some robotic narration. One of the most effective ways to memorize your summary is by trying to repeat it sentence by sentence, and only moving on until you got the previous one down. For example, here I would try to memorize the first sentence, and then after having gotten that, I would memorize the second, and then say both of them together. One more thing to keep in mind is that your fellow classmates may not understand all the words in your summary, particularly ones that you just learned yourself. Here is where using your own words should really come in. Be able to explain everything with the vocabulary you already have. Remember how we discussed заявить at the beginning? You can explain that as сказать. When summarizing, we want to work on many skills together, but primarily, we want to demonstrate our ability to both absorb and process information.
Oh hi, I didn't see you there. I hope you found this video presentation helpful and informative. Today I discussed with you the importance of authentic texts, how to select an appropriate topic for review, how to analyze said topic, and how to effectively summarize it. Please tune in next time for my instructional video on how to produce hand sanitizer from nothing more than vodka and oatmeal.